Hi everyone, so this is a bit of an unplanned tutorial, but we had a comment on the previous tutorial about how to upload files using Node.js from Brian Dev, who basically said how do we actually save the file path into a database so that it can be used in the application later on. Well, I did think about doing that in the previous tutorial, but it was getting a bit long, so I've ended up creating this tutorial where I'm going to show you an example of how you can actually save the data into a Mongo database using the Mongoose ORM library. So just quickly saying that it doesn't have to be Mongoose to actually do this. You can use any type of database, but this example I will be using those libraries to show you how to save that data into a database, and then I'll pull it out and we'll have a list of images that have been uploaded via the user. So the code's in GitHub if you want to follow along, but I hope you enjoy this tutorial on how to actually upload files and then serve them from your application.
So this is pretty much where we left our project for uploading files using Node.js in the previous tutorial, and now we're going to set up that database connection and save the file paths to the uploads that we create, and so that we can reference them later on in our application. So as mentioned, we're going to be doing this with Mongo and Mongoose, so let's first of all install the Mongoose client into our npm dependencies. And with that dependency added to the project, the first thing we're going to do is actually create what is known as a model in Mongoose, which is kind of a way of describing the data that's being put into the Mongo database. And to do that, I'm just going to create a new directory called models, because in a real application, we'd probably have more than one of these schema defining different parts of our data. And I'm going to call this particular model image.js. Because what we're going to be doing is describing an image that's been saved into the database. So with the file created, let's import Mongoose so that we can make use of that. So require Mongoose. And then we'll need a special object that's inside of the Mongoose library, and we're going to save that into a variable called schema. And the object is actually called schema as well. And the next thing we need to do with Mongoose is describe what the image data looks like, and we'll do that by creating a new variable called image schema. And then we'll just create a new schema object based off of what we've just imported from Mongoose. And as you can see from the IntelliSense, the schema constructor actually takes two objects, and the first is the definition of the data that we're going to be storing in Mongo, and the second is just some options. So we'll make use of both of those. So we can just set up a new property on this object called file path, and this will be what is the data that gets stored into Mongo, and we'll just say that's of type string. And that's pretty much the only thing that we want to store into the database at this point. Although we could put more information about the file if we wanted to, like who uploaded it and which account the image belongs to. But we'll just leave it as that at the moment. And we're going to have in the options section of the constructor, we're just going to set one property called timestamps, which is equal to true. And what this does is automatically add created and updated timestamps to the data that's being put into Mongo. So if we want to do any filtering or sorting as when those images were uploaded, we've got that information available to us. So then with our image schema, we can create a new model using the mongoose.model function. And then we just pass in a reference to the model name that we want to create. In this case, it's going to be called image. And then we pass in the schema that we've created. So we just say image schema. And then all we need to do in this file now is export the image object so that it's available in other parts of the application. So we say module.exports is equal to image. So this sets up all the information for Mongoose to understand what an image is and what properties it has and what it should store in the Mongo database. So let's head on over to the server upload script and add our connection to Mongoose. And then we'll look at how we save the files that have been uploaded and processed with multer. And then finally we'll look at how we actually pull out that data as well. So let's head on over to the server upload script. So up here where we're importing all of our different libraries, let's go ahead and import Mongoose again. So we'll say require Mongoose. And we also want to import the image object that we've just created as well. So we can just say in our models directory, we want to import the image file. And then to set up our connection, I'm going to say mongoose.connect. And I'm going to pass in a MongoDB connection string here. So I have Mongo just running on my local host, so I can just say 0.0.1. And there are a few options that we need to pass into this as well. So let's pass in the use new URL parser to be true, and also use unified topology to also be true. So these are just a few settings to prevent a few warnings that come up when you connect to Mongo, based off of some legacy settings, so we just need to put them in there to prevent those warnings coming up. And we could here create a new variable called connection if we wanted to actually directly work with the Mongoose connection that we have. For example, we might want to set up some error handling. So if an error occurs, we can set up an event listener for that. So we can pass any errors that come out to console.log. And if you need to set up any additional handling for that, you can do so there. But let's look at how you would actually save the files into that Mongo database. And of course, when we generate the file name here down in the callback with multer, because we've actually got the file name that we're actually storing onto the disk there, this would probably be a good place to actually save the file path into Mongo as well. So I'm just going to change this up a little bit. I'm just actually going to get the extension for the original file that's been uploaded. So path.extension name, file.original name. Let's just check we've got path imported here, which we don't. So let's just import that as well. So const path require path. And I'll actually generate here a unique identifier using the UUID module that we have. And then I'll create a variable called file path, and then I'll just create it in a subdirectory called images, and then we'll create in the string the ID and then the extension. So when we're using our callback for the file name in multer, instead of passing this string here, let's pass the file name that we have just created. And what we want to do now is save the same file path into our Mongo database as well. So we do that with the model that we've created. So that image object that we imported at the top of the file that we created in the previous step in the models folder, we'll say image.create. First argument that we have here, we want to actually pass the data, the document that we're creating in Mongo. So I'm just going to create a new object with a property of file path, which has the value of our file path variable that we've just created. And this create function is actually promise based, so we could use async and await, but I'm just going to use a simple promise chain here. And we're not too worried about the result as long as it goes through okay. But what we do want to do here is actually call the callback for multer inside of that then block so that we make sure that the image is actually saved into the database before we pass it back to the storage options with the multer library. Okay, so that should be pretty much all we need to actually save our files into the Mongo database. Let's actually just check that we've got the images folder there. Let's just delete these existing images that are saved from the previous tutorial. So what we need to do is actually create that images folder. So let's create the images folder inside of uploads. Because we're setting the destination up here in multer to uploads, we're actually trying to save the file path into a folder called images, so we need to make sure that that folder's there, otherwise we'll get an error. And that should be pretty much us good to go. So let's run the server upload script just to make sure there's no errors. So our app is listening on port 3001. And before we test this upload, let's just actually get a connection to Mongo so that we can check that our image data has actually been saved into the Mongo database. So let's just head on over to the terminal and get a new instance of Mongo just by typing in Mongo. So in our database, there should be a collection called images. And if we put a find command in there with an empty search object, we should find that there's nothing in there, which makes sense because we haven't uploaded anything yet. So let's head on over to our browser and upload some files. So let's just load the application again. So let's just choose some files from our pictures directory. And let's just upload one to start off with to see how that goes. So if we then submit that, it seems to be waiting for a long time, so we've probably got an error there. Let's go back to our code and see what's going on. Yeah, so we have an error here. There's an unresolved error, which is the file name is not defined. Okay, yeah. So in the callback that we pass into multer, I'm passing file name rather than file path. So let's just update that and save it. And NodeMon will restart our code for us. So let's head back on over to the browser and let's just go back to the previous page. Let's try that upload again. Okay, and we're back with our status of OK and it's been uploaded. So let's go ahead and first of all check that the file was uploaded successfully. So there you can see there's a UUID with the extension of .jpeg. So that's the file that we've just uploaded. And if we go back to Mongo and just run the same find command again, you can see we've actually got some new entries in there, and you've got a property of file path with the folder of images and also the UUID that we created. And the reason we've got two is because the first one errored and we'd actually added that into the database before the file is successfully uploaded. So in a real world situation, you'd want to have some error checking to make sure that the file has been uploaded before we actually write it into the database. What I actually will do is actually just remove these existing images from the database because the one won't actually exist. The one file didn't actually get uploaded. Sorry, so we need to remove those. So now we should be back to 0 in the database. And in our file uploads as well, let's just remove this file that has been uploaded. Okay, so let's just test that with multiple file uploads as well. So back to the upload page. Let's select all 3 images and open that up, submit it, and we've got 3 uploaded. And in our files, we've got 3 uploaded files. And in our database, if we find those again, we've got 1, 2, 3 entries into the database as well. So that's the basic process of storing data into our Mongo database. Let's look at how we'd actually get that data out and display it on the page for the user. So there are a few different ways that you could do this. You could actually set up an API endpoint that serves back all of the image data in JSON format, and then you can consume it on the front end. Or you could generate static pages in Express that have the data already been loaded via the database. And because our Express project isn't really set up at this point to handle templating and rendering of pages in that way, I'm actually going to take the first option and generate an API endpoint and then consume that on the front end. So down here where we've got our different routes for the application, I'm going to create a new one, which will be a get route, and I'll just say it's get images. And all we need there is the request and the response objects. And really this is pretty simple. We just use the image model that we've already got created, and we use the find method, and that should find all of the images in our image collection, and that will return a JavaScript object of that representation of that data. So then what we can do when we get that is just return on our response object some JSON data, and we'll put a status of OK, although that's not really necessary for what we're doing here, but just to keep it consistent with the previous endpoint that we created. And then we'll just pass back on a property called images, the images data that was returned from our Mongo model. So if we hit save and test that out in the browser, if we just go to /images, you can see there now we've got some JSON being returned to us, and it's basically a representation of what's in the Mongo collection for images. And you can see we've got all of those file paths there as well for each of the images that we've uploaded. So what we can do now on the front end is make a call to /images and then loop through all the data in this images array and then display them on the page. So there are obviously lots of different ways that you can do this, but I'll just give you an example of how you might do it in plain JavaScript. So first thing, let's just create a container for these. So I'm just going to create a div with a class of images, and then let's just open up a script tag, which is where we're going to write our JavaScript, which will make the call to that endpoint. So I'm actually going to set this up into a function called load images, so we could use this in different parts of our front-end code. And I'm going to make this an async block because we're going to be calling the fetch API, and I'll just use the await keyword in here to make this a bit simpler. So our response is going to be a call to the fetch API, and we're just going to be saying the endpoint that we're calling is 3001 images. And I'll just chain onto here the steps to actually get that into JSON data. So, response.json. So now when that runs, our response object should basically have a representation of what we just saw in the browser a second ago. So first of all, let's get a reference to the images element. So we'll just say images element is equal to a query selector. And we want to pick out the div with the class of images. And this is a bit hacky, but the first thing I'm going to do is just with our images element is set its inner HTML equal to nothing. So basically clear out anything that's in there. So if we are calling this load images function a few times, then this will always reset it to a blank div every time that it runs. So the next thing we want to do is loop through all of the images on our response. So we've got our response back from the API. And if you remember, we had the images stored on a property called images, and that was an array. So we can just literally loop through each of those. And for each of those images, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new image tag. You could do this just by creating a long string and then appending it onto inner HTML of the images element again. But we're not going to be setting up loads of properties on the image, and it's always best to actually create your elements from scratch if you can. So let's set the image.source equal to the file path, which is going to be the URL of where the actual image is created. So that was the image .file path, which is what was stored in the database. And we'll also just set the height of that dynamically to 200 so that they don't fill up the page. Ideally, you'd probably do this with some CSS, but just for our purposes, this should be fine. So on the images element, then we're just going to append that image as a child. So let's just call the load images function when the window is actually loaded. So window on load, let's say load images. And if we go back to our browser now, we should see there's a bit of a problem with this. So if we just go back to the file upload page, or the home page if you will. So you can see if we refresh the page, the image elements are indeed being created. But there's a problem here. We're seeing that the images themselves are actually 404. So it's looking on a URL of localhost 3001 and in an images folder, and the actual file paths look good as well. But the problem with this is we actually haven't told Express that there is content being served from the uploads folder. We've only set up the public folder to serve our static HTML. So what we need to do actually in our server upload script here is where we've got this line here that says app.use express.static public. We want to say app.use express.static and then pass in the uploads folder as well. So this actually makes the uploads folder over here available as static content. So when we actually reference a URL of images, we should be directed to this folder here. So let's save that. And then if we refresh the web page again, you can see our images are now appearing. So there's just one annoying thing that we'll just work out just to finish off the tutorial. What happens if you actually upload some more files now is, let's just upload the same 3 again. When we hit the submit button, we're still being redirected to the upload endpoint, which is fine because it tells us that the upload is completed, but it'd be better if we stayed on the actual home page. So what we could do here in the upload endpoint, if we had templating set up within our Express application, we could render a different page or render the same home page again, but we don't have any of that set up in this example. So what I'm just going to do, instead of actually passing back that JSON, I'm just actually going to redirect the user back to the home page. So if we save that and then go back to the home page again, if you refresh the page, you can see that the new images have been uploaded again. So let's just test that out. What should happen if we upload some more images? When we hit the submit button, we'll still be sent to that /upload endpoint, but when the processing is done and the files have been uploaded, we'll be redirected via that Express route straight back to this page again. So we should see the images update straight away. So there you go, you can see those images have been uploaded a 3rd time. And just for completeness, let's have a look at the data stored in our Mongo database. So we should find that there's 3 sets of those images that have been uploaded. So you can see now there's a lot more data in the database. And that should be obvious because the images are being pulled from there when we hit the /get images route. And then our code is processing those and converting them into HTML elements. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. As I said in the introduction, you don't have to use any specific type of database to achieve this same result. For example, we didn't need to use Mongo or Mongoose. We could have used MySQL, Postgres, or even something like an SQLite database to save this data in there. It doesn't matter what the actual database is. The process is still the same. When we're calling back with multer when we've uploaded the file, we just save an entry into our database there. And in our Express application, we then just create a new route that can pull out that data and then serve it to the user on the front end. And the way you do that depends a lot on how your Express application is set up. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope you found that useful. Just before you go, don't forget to subscribe to support the channel and so you don't miss out on any future tutorials.